We're a little bit late. Oh, well.
Well, at least they know it's live streaming.
Yeah, sometimes it goes a little bit wrong. Oh, battery is running low. Fuck. That's why that computer's fucked. Oh, my God. Oh, your batteries are running low. Here we go. Something like that. Oh, it's not playing. Oh,
sorry.
No. It will play. I know it's wrong. We can talk for a second before the show. We had some sound problems, folks. So, I don't know what's going on.
Adam Shadow and Darren, the man
we're on.
of 1,000 questions. Now join us as we explore the mysterious nature of our world.
We're on.
Igor,
We are
release the monsters
engaged.
from the dungeon.
Right?
Crack some drinks and let go. Unwind, open your mind. Just know. Psychics, mediums, ghosts, fireballs, lunar anomalies, Sasquatch.
Just learn to wait sometimes.
Yeah, what's going on, Mike? What's up? You need help?
With Willie in Alaska. Our moral compass,
Told that
Curtis
it comes
Green.
across kind of loud on Discord.
Hello.
It's a little loud.
We are here. All right.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is Monster
actually
Castle
talking
Paranormal
soft.
Radio.
I'm actually
And-
talking softer.
All right.
That's perfect.
I'd like to introduce the guest, please. Everyone be quiet. Thank you. Tonight is the Secular Human show with Master Mastaba Joseph Moore. He's an author, a science fiction writer. He's a paranormal investigator and a secular human. Can you tell us what that means, sir? Joseph?
How's it going? How's everyone doing?
Not too bad, man.
Good.
Sorry about the sound trouble.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
We'll figure that out
Later.
later, yeah. But we got it working, and that's all that matters. So that's why the show's been delayed. Anyways, we're going to keep on going. Who do we have with us here? Darren, are you here? Can you hear us? Okay, all we have is Joseph. Joseph, can you hear us?
Anyone else out there?
Strange, we just had a whole bunch of people, and now there's nobody hearing us.
Right?
That is weird. Okay. High definition audio device. I
So
think
you want me to go ahead and just start Wolfman?
okay. Yeah. I know what the problem is too, why they couldn't hear you on the other line now. I figured it out. There's definitely two, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I know what it is. It was just the stupid Discord settings. I don't know why I never thought of that, because it's a new device I was trying out here, and that happens. So we should have done our sound test an hour before, not just a half hour.
Let me
I
check.
can hear you.
What is all that binging noise going on in here? Oh, man. We got to find out what that is. Turn off
I'm hearing it. I
stupid-
assumed it was people joining us.
We're taking
Yeah,
all these
people coming
noises
and
out. I don't like any of these noises.
You can get
Turning
good
them all off.
notifications and turn them off.
They're all
Yeah, if you
turning
go to
off.
setting, I think you should be able to.
I am turning them all off
I
as
don't know.
I speak. They are done. There's no more. So they're all turned off now. Every one of them. Fuck that. I don't want to hear any more of that shit.
Yeah, you're coming through perfectly now, Mike.
Well, you sound great, and the levels look great, so we're on.
It sounds good on the show. Sorry I wasn't here. I was listening.
That's good. So I'm glad you checked it. That means
Hi,
everything's
Darren.
working perfectly.
Hello.
Thanks for checking it. That's called producing. So now, if anybody says it's poorly produced, it's on you, Darren.
Oh, God. No problem.
Yeah. Poorly produced. It's all on Darren. What is a secular human?
All right, I think they can unmute now.
Oh,
I put up.
Joseph.
I was thinking maybe it was.
Joseph,
Yes,
I have a
Wolfman.
question for you. What is a
Yes,
secular?
sir.
I keep asking this. What is a secular human?
Secular humanist.
Okay, there we go.
Secular human. No, you're fine. Secular humanist. Basically, the two words "secular" just means neutral. Where it's based in Latin. Secular, as in in the United States, we have that dollar bill. And if you turn it over on the backside, you'll see the Great Seal of the government of America. And in Latin, it says something to the effect of the secular world, secular new order, as in things pertaining to the natural physical world. That's secular. Humanist is the focus on human beings. Humanism was a movement that actually came out of Europe, the post Dark Ages. I'd say something like around the late 1600s, and it's a focus on human beings rather than being theocratically centric like most societies used to be. Well, some still are. So secular humanism or secular humanist are people who believe in the separation of church and state with a focus on human beings rather than gods or aliens or things. That I'm kind of paraphrasing.
May I ask if it's similar to being a deist?
Similar to what again, ma'am?
Being a deist, believing that God
Oh, I did. Yeah, I
put
did.
everything in motion and walked away.
No, and what is your name, please?
My name's Angela.
Okay, Angela. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you, Angela. No, it's nothing like being a deist. I pronounce it as deist. Some people say deist. Deists are basically people who have the belief of a vague notion of some kind of super being that could be classified as a god, or maybe not even necessarily God, but some kind of, or even something like an amorphous force, kind of like from Star Wars, if you will, the Force, something that's got some kind of power that kind of leaks into the tangible world, but still ethereal. Whereas, I guess what I'm getting at is there's no set religious codification. It's more of just a belief. So that's kind of a deist. An atheist, there's atheism and then there's secular humanism. They're not really the same, so I shouldn't bring in atheism yet. But secularism is just basically, secularism is more of a political, not religious in the slightest. Secular is just neutral. The government is neutral, separation of church and state. Here, obviously now, Wolfman, you are in Canada. I don't know who else is in Canada, but for United States, for our Constitution, it's called the Establishment Clause. That is to say, paraphrasing, there's actually two parts. A, Congress shall not establish a religion, and B, there should not be basically discrimination against those who are religious.
Okay, then why do they make you swear on the Bible then when you're in court?
Excellent point, Mike. Sorry, Wolfman. Because I used to do speaking engagements, lectures at Doane University here in Lincoln, Nebraska, in the religious studies course, and that is one of the things that comes up a lot, and you're right, Wolfman, that's one of the things that, and it's not just atheists, but even Christians who believe in the separation of church and state, and actually it is actually constitutional. It's called the Establishment Clause. It's not a belief, it's in the Constitution. But a lot of us secularists, that's what we've been saying. We as a United States, whether it's at the federal level at the U.S. Capitol or whether it's at the local jurisdiction in the state capitol throughout the United States, we should not be mixing any religion, Christian or otherwise, by putting their hands in the Bible, whatever, and standing up praying, because based on the Constitution, once again, it's called the Establishment Clause, and they've been breaking that for decades. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, because it's contradictory. That's hypocritical.
It is. You're correct. It is.
I'm glad you agree.
And there are, now we can say a few. It used to only be like one or two Congress people that were Muslim. I forgot the guy from, he's kind of got that Malcolm X look, and I almost said his name, Ellis. Well, anyway, there's something like maybe three. What's her name? Omar. She's been in the news a lot lately, so now everyone knows her. In the House of Representatives, I think there is a third one. I forgot her name. She's the one who was the third Muslim congressperson I'm thinking of. I forgot her name. It's like Talib or something like that. She's the one. And since we're this is not radio, to people who may be new to live streaming / podcasting, so we can curse here. I'm saying that because I invited some people to listen in. So, this lady, Talib, who got elected to the U.S. Congress, she said, and we're going to impeach the motherfucker out of the White House, talking about Trump. There are three Muslims in Congress that I know of. There may be another one. What if they brought their Quran to be sworn in? I'm guessing they did. And, of course, the Christians would be upset about that. A lot of Christians in States, and, of course, it's not just Christians. Muslims do it, too. Remember that group called the Taliban? In Afghanistan and Pakistan? They're the Christian. They're the Muslim version of right-wing fundamentalist Christians. Now, I'm not trying to equate people who refuse to bake a wedding cake for LGBTQ couple, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Just because you turn somebody down, which you should not do, that's not the same as being the Taliban, the militants. The Taliban are not terrorists, by the way. They're militants. There's a difference, but that's a separate discussion. But this is what I'm getting at, everybody. It's the mixing of religion with politics. Specifically governing is what I should say, governing, because it's more about the governance. And once again, we progressives in the United States, we keep saying these conservative Republicans who love to talk about the American Constitution so much, but then they get a little quiet when it comes down to the Establishment Clause, because they know that it talks about the separation of church and state. So that's basically what secularism is.
Yeah.
It should be that
That's
way.
awesome. So I guess...
wouldn't you?
So I'm a secular humanist too, then.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, that's, everyone has the right to describe how they see themselves. I will say it is specifically a movement. In general, there's been a secularist, and of course, again, Wolfman, you're in Canada. That's tend to be a bit more, a bit more progressive than we are here in the United States. So you guys, you look at. I know, unfortunately, your prime minister is going through a lot of. Unfortunately, he's got his own scandal, but he's still more progressive than what we have here. But yeah, if you consider yourself a secular humanist, that's awesome. But it is, just so you know, it is a specific movement. There's, like every other movement, you don't have to. It's a movement, not a religion, and not even a political party. Again, a movement is different from a political party. The Democratic Party is a party. Progressivism is a movement. So if you take it in those terms. Secularism is, for instance, like on June 21st, I guess it's the summer solstice, if you will, it also just happens to be the birthday of I'm drawing a blank. I can't believe Darwin, Charles Darwin, the guy who wrote the evolution stuff, theory. So we secularists tend to we celebrate Charles Darwin's birthday, and I don't remember the history of how that came about, but it's a tradition. It's not policy. It's not an edict. It's just we made it a tradition of celebrating Charles Darwin's birthday on the 21st, and also it's called humanism, World Humanism. So it is a movement. There's other things to it. It's not just, I believe in separation of church and state, that's the fundamentalist of it. But there are other things that go along.
Earlier you mentioned Rashida Tlaib, and she was sworn in with a Koran that was owned by Jefferson.
Oh, okay, awesome. Right. You're right. I did hear about that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Angelica, correct?
Angela, but some people call me Angelica.
Sorry. No, Angela. I'm writing you guys' name.
Joseph.
Nils, I can remember him, and Darren. Darren I've known since I've been a guest Wolfman for 2 years now. So I remember Darren well. And Nils sticks out because we talked. But other people, I may have to write their names down.
Oh, I'm Jewish. I'll probably chime in at some point. You can call me JP or Jewish producer. Whatever.
Wow. You sound great, JP. Now, Joseph, I want to ask you, have you got the speaker on your device there or something? Because you sound pretty tinny, and it's jumping in and out. I don't know if you could clear up.
It's just on my laptop. I'm afraid to touch anything because I'm afraid I might make it worse. But no, it's you know how laptops are. It's just directly on your laptop. And
okay.
I can try to do something with the settings, but if it's like jumping in and out, that has nothing.
I think that's just your internet connection, actually.
You know what? It could be. I mean, it's pretty good right now. I don't have any other windows up. Just Discord. So I made sure to keep everything clear. So
it's strange, man. Every time we do a show, we always have audio trouble. You notice that?
Yes.
Every time I do a show with Joseph, there's always some kind of audio trouble, and that I find that I'm starting to think it's really fucking weird.
No, I'm very paranoid. I always suspect it's some right winger. Well, I mean, it's not just me just saying that. I think I told you this before, but years ago, my first wife and I, she hired a techie, and this is in the year 2000. She hired a techie to do a diagnostic on our computers, and I do mean computers, a CP at the time. And the techie showed me a chart. He printed it off. And Russians had hacked us, and they were observing every keystroke that I did on that computer. And this is 19 years ago. So it's happened to me before. So I suspect it could be right-wingers. I wouldn't be surprised because they don't like what I have to say, and they don't like to hear an African American stand up and who's an atheist. And I represent a lot. I'm antithetical to everything they believe in.
Wow. We're getting to the bottom of the hour here. So even though we started late, we're still taking a break right now, folks, because we had a lot of sound problems, and we'll be back after this.
Baby from the fourth dimension. Did I forget to mention a thing? She could sing with a fifth dimensional ring in a voice that'll sound like angels coming from the sky. She could sing. She could sing. She was a groovy little baby with a fifth dimensional ring in a voice. That's right, all right, dig it, yeah. From the Wolfman, sing it out now, yeah. Here we go. Groovy little baby from the fourth dimension. Did I forget to mention one thing. She could sing. Groovy little baby with a fifth dimensional ring in a voice that is. She could sing like an angel coming from the sky. She could sing. Groovy baby with a fifth dimensional ring in a voice that is, yeah, come from the sky. You're here with Dave Cruz and Wolfman Mike, and please listen to our new network,
KTLK DB The Fringe.fm.
All right. Everybody come on out and listen. And we're going to have a lot of fun now because we all joining forces. All right. And this is going to be where the disclosure comes from. Yeah. It's where all the freaks hang out.
Oh, no, you don't. I'll help myself.
Come on, Shorty. We better get out of here. He's much too smart for us.
Yeah. You better just, yeah.
Okay, we're back.
The character was great, but he was only on one episode, I believe.
Oh, 5 years, 5 years.
This is where all the real freaks hang out.
Yes, it is. And some of us aren't even freaks here. Nope. What the heck is this? Cool. Keep your eyes peeled, man. That's Queens of the Stone Age. But we're going to jump back in to our discussion here. How you doing, folks? Are you there, Joseph?
Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
You know what? I just turned my volume down, just my basic volume, just the volume button in my laptop. I wonder if that might help. I'm wondering.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It did. I think you may have been.
I wonder if that was part of the problem.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
If
I just had that thought.
I jumped out.
It down.
I jumped out and I jumped back in, and it stopped doing that. So it sounds a lot better now. So let's go on to the next part of this discussion. I'm wondering if you want to talk about some of your paranormal investigations of recent.
Indeed. Sure. Where would you like for me to start, or do you have any specific questions? Or?
Now, you were talking to me in Twitter about the what do you call them again? The two, they worked with Father Malachi Martin. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Lorraine and Ed.
Oh, you mean the Warrens? The Warrens, yes. Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
Miss Warren just died Friday.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
That's awful. She was.
And I will say this, Wolfman. A lot of people, the two of them, the couple, they set the stage, the foundation for modern day paranormal research specific to ghosts and spirits and demons. As far as the research, whether or not you believe in it, that's a separate issue. But of course, there's also like UFOs, Bigfoot, and those cryptozoology, and those are also considered paranormal. But that's specific to more supernatural things. The Warrens set the kind of the foundation for modern day paranormal investigators, for myself included. But even before them, a lot of people, you hear about the Forteans, I think is what they call themselves, and that's named, that's kind of like I said, movement before. Basically, it was kind of a movement in the mid to late, well, more like the mid, I guess, 20th century. It was actually named after a guy named Charles Fort, and he was actually in the early 20th century. He did a lot. He was kind of the Fox Mulder, if you will, of the late 1800s, early 1900s. Just go ahead and Google him, or whatever device or platform you want to use. Charles Fort actually had started. He wrote some books, most of it dealing with what we call the paranormal today. I forgot what they called it back then, but they had different words like the mysterious or something. And what people would do for Charles Fort, and he died around 1930. A lot of people would do like me. They were like Josephs of their day. They had these interests in these different paranormal stories they would hear. They would conduct their own investigations, their own reports, and they would, of course, I'm saying snail mail. They would mail their reports to Charles Fort for him to, read and whether or not to affirm. I thought that was so interesting. And he was before the Warrens, and I would say he kind of set the stage for Ed and Lorraine Warren because of that movement. Now, this other guy I was talking about, the Charles Fort, he was kind of a contemporary of that Casey guy. I forgot his first name. He was probably the most famous. Thank you. I keep forgetting his name. He's probably the most famous of the early 20th century, but a lot of people don't know much about Charles Fort. Casey and Fort, that generation set the foundation for Ed and Lorraine Warren. And of course, by the time the 70s roll around, that's when they start their paranormal investigative career. Well, actually, it was more like in the 50s. It's kind of like in the 70s by the time when they became famous, but they started more like 50s and 60s. And by the way, this is kind of a little, it's kind of, what do you call it? Little nuggets of information, useless information, trivia is what I'm trying to say. Wow. But in regards to the movies, everybody knows those who are into paranormal / horror movies. The movie The Conjurer, that was based on. That was actually based.
They came out with another one after that too. They just had, I think, the third one that was in the series.
Yeah, they're all series actually. Yeah, and actually, ironically, the what's it called? The Amityville. I was saying. That came out, was that in the 70s when the movie was first made? That's just a movie. But that actual investigation, because whether or not I'm a skeptic, I'm a skeptic, so I'm going to be honest with you, I honestly find the subject matter interesting. Yeah. But what I was going to say was that actually the movie The Conjurer, the series, that came first. It was an investigation that the Warrens did. It was supposedly a witch. What's her name? Sheba Sherman. Some spirit supposedly. And then it was later that what the famous Amityville horror, and then of course the haunting in Connecticut that came as well. That was in the 80s actually. So that was a little bit later in their career.
I read up a lot on the Warrens. She was a really, really powerful psychic.
Yeah.
A medium.
So, I was just wondering what your tweet was all about there.
Angela or my tweet?
Yours. I saw something about the Warrens in your tweet, so that's why I was asking you that.
I forgot.
Something about going to the house. I thought you were going to some house that they.
They had a museum within their house, and they would show off these
like Zappos does.
Objects that had spirits or personalities attached to them. And she was a physical medium.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, and actually it's actually a museum. Now, who is this? I'm sorry, ma'am. Who are you, ma'am?
Angela.
Oh, you're still. I thought you were second. I thought you were second woman. It sounded like.
The other woman
I guess
was
it's your
me,
connection.
and my name is Liana. My name is Liana, or Lioness.
Oh, Leon. Okay,
Yeah.
Leon.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I had to write that down. No, and thank you. Nice to meet you, Liana. And actually, because see, I want to go to that museum, and I forgot exactly what they call it, but it is their house, isn't it? Or if it's not their house, it's some house that they purchased or something. But yeah, and of course this ties in the movie. I'm sure there are books too. Annabelle. Those who may have seen the movie Annabelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys know, but to audience who may not know, that's all these movies are connected to. That's what's interesting to those audience who may not know this, but this crowd, I think you guys know. But a lot of these people who are listening may not know this, but the movie, the Conjure series, the Amityville horror movie, A Haunting in Connecticut, all those are tied to the Warrens. Lorraine, the one who just died. Lorraine, who just died. All those are tied to them. That couple, they were a force to reckon with when it came down to paranormal research. I'm speaking as a skeptic, but I respect the fact that they took the time to investigate and even to set up their museum. And now they passed it down, as I understand, part of my research. I guess their son-in-law, his name Tony Spera. I guess now he's taken over and running the museum now after Lorraine.
Her husband was a demonologist, wasn't he?
Could you say that again, please?
I said, her husband was a demonologist, wasn't he?
Yes.
If I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And pretty much an exorcist.
Yes.
Yeah, he worked with Father Malachi Martin.
He was the one that was actually a layperson that was sanctioned by the Catholic Church, actually, to do him.
I believe so. And, okay, we lost Angela. And Bathtub Girl. She was in here, and now she's gone. So when okay, I got a chat room question for you, Joseph.
Okay, I'm listening.
Joseph, what about the fire at the Notre Dame Catholic Church? Did you hear about the demons were let out of that church in the smoke?
Now, is this Neil? Am I correct
Neil.
in that?
He's pretty quiet in there. He's asking about did you see the demons in the smoke when the?
I did not hear. Obviously, I know. Of course, following closely. I did not hear about that.
Notre Dame. I didn't hear about that either. So I never heard about that, Neil.
It was on YouTube. It was on YouTube or Twitter, I think. And but the demons that's in the church. See, the demons are in the church, and when you burn a building, you could see the demons in the smoke. Just like you see them in the trees and stuff.
Oh, I'm seeing the video you're talking about. I'll post a link.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about, JB?
Yeah.
But they had an article about someone said something about that, and that's really true because I could see demons in churches too. They live there actually.
So Neil, I find. If you don't mind, Wolfman, can I focus on that just a little bit? Wolfman?
Yeah. That's why I brought Neil on here. I thought you and Neil might have a good discussion because he's a believer in all of the demons and stuff. He says he sees demons. He believes he sees demons, and I thought you might find this interesting.
And also, if you can maybe even take it back even one step and just discuss the whole theory of the season of sacrifice, as it were. I mean, I don't know if that's something that you get into either, but
like Easter, yeah.
No,
Easter is another topic.
That sounds awesome to me. Yeah, that's all that sounds awesome to me as a former Pentecostal. Thanks. I don't know what to call. Should I call you Jewish producer? I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying that.
JP, just JP.
Yeah.
JP. Okay, I don't feel comfortable saying that because as a non, if you're not from that community, you got to kind of be careful how you say things. Anyway, Neil, you can understand how there may be some Catholic people who might be offended by what you said, Neil, because from their point of view, they may interpret what you, not me, but some Catholics may interpret what you said as, well, demons reside in not just, we're just talking about Notre Dame, however you pronounce it. But so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just saying they might be thinking, why are you saying demons were in, I think you said residing in the Notre Dame? Why would they be residing?
Well, the reason is the moon is a war planet, okay? I'm the one that sees, and the thing is, the Catholic Church has a deceiver in the church saying they're Jesus Christ, but it's like, you know how you got the armed forces of the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and shit like that? Well, the evil aliens that took over the moon, or the Earth, that's one of their armed forces is the Catholic Church. You see what I'm saying?
Well, Neil, I do disagree with you on that. You and I, we're friends for it was late last year or something. But I do disagree with you on that. And just so you know, I'm sure, because I do have some Catholic friends. I know that sounds like a joke. I really do. I'm telling you right now, Neil, they will interpret that as being anti-Catholic. Just so you know. Because it sounds like you're talking about the Pope, if I'm correct, maybe.
Well, the whole establishment, I was raised Catholic. The thing is, I don't know if you remember, I told you about my mother, the 27th, and my birthday, and I'm the one that sees. Okay? Well, I know what's going on. So the buck stops with me. I mean, I don't care.
Okay.
You got to understand, the whole human race is blind, dude. I mean, I had a spirit walk up to me one day. His head was moving on the ground, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, man, you know what? You were supposed to see." Well, think about that. That means the whole world is not supposed to see. If I'm supposed to see, and the whole world is not supposed to see, something's wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Well, can I ask you, Neil, do you think that demons reside in mosques and temples and Protestant churches in addition to Catholic, or is that just a Catholic?
They're in every home. They're in every house. They're vampires. They're sucking on our energy. The aliens created a demon world when they took over. They, you know the story of Tower of Babel.
Yeah, of course.
Said, build a tower to reach the heavens, right? Well, that could have been a laser or a spaceship, right? And they said, well, we're going to change their language. What they did was they changed their consciousness. So every time y'all read that, you don't understand it. I do. You see what I'm saying? They said, well, let's let them die young. Instead of being 900 years old, let's let them die 100 years old, you know? That's the sentence on it. We're a slave planet.
So the aliens, you mean the aliens, correct?
Yeah, the aliens that we lost the war, Saturn, they went as far as almost to Saturn, but we held them back at Saturn. So everything, Jupiter, Mars, Earth, all the way to the sun, is the enemy.
Okay. Everyone's got their, that's a different take, I will say. I will say this, and this is actually more political than what I'm about to say here in regards to the Notre Dame fire. First of all, I'm glad no one was killed in the fire, first and foremost. That's the most important thing. Secondly, and now I'm getting a little bit on the political side. We start off more with the religion. I am, in addition to being atheist, I am a socialist, democratic socialist, but I'm a registered Democrat. And I've been active with the Democratic Party for quite some time. But anyway, I will say this. Thank you. I think it's awesome that I don't agree with and anybody who's been paying attention to global news, the protests in Paris specifically, but other cities in France too. They have yellow vests on, and they're protesting work conditions in Paris. They want to preserve a lot of their benefits because they work less hours than America, than in the United States. They get more benefits. Well, now even under Macron and even before him, France has been trying to basically get rid of that, where they work more hours for less benefits. I mean, you can't blame them for being upset about that, right? But I disagree with some of the things that the yellow vest people are doing. I do believe in. I'm not a pacifist, but I don't think you should be smashing up property and everything like that.
There's no need to destroy things.
No, well, there's a time. There are times when you do have to use force. I'm a strong believer in that.
Yeah,
but that's only, like, for instance, to use as an example. Like if you're just protesting and you're holding placards and you're having not even a vigil. I don't even do vigils because I'm too aggressive for that. And if the authorities are just watching you and you're just time, that's not the time to use force. But if they start whipping your ass, taking their batons out, or shooting like they've been doing here in the United States, killing unarmed African American men.
I agree with that.
I am an African American man. I am at risk just walking in this country. There's a time for force, but not just protest.
Not to destroy things.
I'm not going to say that. There are times when you do have to destroy things. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There are. I said times. I didn't say like right now with the. Yeah, but thank you.
As a last resort.
Because
yes, definitely. If you're defending yourself and your people, yes. No, any people.
No, it's not about defending yourself. It's about bringing light to a situation. It's the violence of poverty where you have no other choice but to pull yourself upward. And sometimes it is through a peaceful demonstration or not so peaceful. Concluded.
Agreed. I thank you. That's was that Leanna?
No, this is Angela.
Angela. I was just saying destroying artifacts, burning those kind of things. It's only necessary when it's appropriate, but that shouldn't be the first. That shouldn't be the first move.
No, I actually agree with you on that. I like, for instance, I do agree with the philosophy of I'm not a member personally, mainly because I'm too old. Secondly, my wife would not appreciate it. But I am a strong believer in Antifa. The anti-fascist militants, and I am not a pacifist. I don't see myself as a militant because I don't go around doing force. I'm using the word force, not violence. To me, violence is when you instigate violence upon someone who's an innocent and they're not doing something.
That's the point.
But if you're protecting yourself, that's self-defense. I'm a strong believer in that. Whether it's nightsticks, pepper spray, your fist, or even and I mean this legally, even guns. I am a liberal, well, to the left of liberals, but I do not believe in disarming people. Because those right wingers, they have guns. They're not going to lay their arms down. It's kind of similar to what.
The Jerry Springers? No, they're not going to lay them guns down at all. I don't mind guns. It's the people who use them. They just need to, if they're going to have guns, vet them a little bit more. Don't give them to criminals or to somebody who's. Yeah,
the criminals are going to get them no matter what.
They're going to get them. There are ones that would be. It's kind of like law.
They should be screened. They should have this. They should do this to them. They're going to get guns regardless. It just causes more issues for people that are law-abiding to get the set done.
Yeah, and of course, I am talking legally because I take a page from a chapter from the original Black Panthers, not the new one, because the new Black Panthers they codify some Christianity into their platforms of the new Black Panthers. And speaking as an atheist, I'm not down with that. But the original Black Panthers, they were about self-defense, but you do it legally. And they did that on purpose, so there was no excuse to, round us up. We already have a target on our back as African Americans. I'm talking about doing it legally, but I'm just saying, and I was going to Yellow Vest for another reason in France. Like I said, there are times for that sounds like, is that your automatic social thing, Wolfman? Is he still
it break time?
Sometimes
he's trying to talk.
Actually, no. It was I was adjusting the audio setting for our call-in line, and it's working now, so we can take calls.
Okay,
great.
And the number is, if there's anybody listening, the number is 360-313-8339. That's 360-313-8339. See, that's the good part about the screw-up we had, actually. And then you joining Discord is opened up our lines. Now we can take calls.
Sweet. I'm glad to hear that.
It was a great mistake to make because it made it's going to make our show better. If somebody wants to call in, now they can with a phone number, and that's what I love. And it's working.
Yeah, we don't do that too often.
Yeah, it's working. I had the same problem last time. When I shut the computer off, turn it back on, for some reason it didn't save my sound settings. So I had to reprogram them all in.
Oh. Yeah, see that's why this time I had a reboot, and I'm not any other Windows. I just have Discord up.
Yeah, so actually, you could also call back in on the other line if you want to now too, if you'd like to. It will.
I'm not touching it down.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
Seriously, this is the best I've heard on Discord ever. So I'm just going to leave it.
Once in a while, co-host and amazing. Whoops! Oh, something's playing. What the hell? Don't worry about it.
I don't know.
Hey, this is Neil. I wanted to go back to that. How they separated religion and state.
Now you sound good, Neil.
Wow, yeah, your volume's a lot better now.
Oh yeah, I shut off my Bluetooth.
Don't ever use
remember,
Bluetooth.
United States was the first one that implemented a separation of religion and state. The reason why they did that because of the Catholic Church was trying to rule over Europe. You know what I'm saying?
That was actually France, Neil. They were secular before we were, because remember their revolution was 1789, but we are. But if you want to talk about in terms of codification in a constitution, I don't know enough of history. My wife is actually a historian. She can tell me more about this. But I think there were actually other. We may have been the first to codify the separation of church and state. I'm not sure about that, so I can't speak to something I'm not 100% sure about. But France is also another country.
I know about it though. That's why I'm trying to tell you, because you was talking about it. But the reason why they made that law was they didn't want no religion controlling the country like they do it in Europe. That's, you see what I'm saying? That's the reason why they made that law, because of what the Catholic Church was doing.
That's right. And we're at the top of the hour, folks. All right. Oh, man. Piggy Boy from the Mary Janes.
When I was a boy, my family always said he wasn't very smart. He wasn't very big. But we loved that pig. Ready, set, piggy, took care of that pig. Danced around with that pig. Drank beer with that pig. Went to school with that pig. I had a bath with that pig. Sometimes I served was a piggy, just like no other. My old and a pet, that pig was like my brother, piggy boy. Oh, piggy boy. Piggy boy. A piggy boy.
Yes, yeah. All right. We are back. We are back, everybody, on Monster Castle Paranormal. Don't forget. Oh. Which wants to play more music? Oh, wow. No, sorry, guys. You're not going to hear more music. Okay. Not right now. We want to hear that. That was Sabracadabra. Last song was Piggy Boy by the Mary Janes. Now, we've had Tom on our show from the Mary Janes, so he sent me a new song. I'll play it later. It is called, what is that one? It is called, Chanting Worms. So it's about worms. He had a dream about worms. What would worms chant if they were chanting? I think.
Interesting.
So, yeah. It's pretty cool.
Hey, Mike,
speaking of 420.
I took a photograph.
You got to get rid of your Bluetooth, man. Don't use Bluetooth on the radio. It doesn't work, Neil. You got to get rid of that Bluetooth. Talk back in your phone normally.
Yeah, you sound more distant.
Yeah, I can't even hear you. It probably doesn't even show up on the show. People probably can't hear you at all.
All
I took a photograph.
Yeah. Okay, you got photographs. Post it on
Okay.
hashtag 47talk in my
The
Twitter.
photograph of the moon, and you can see spirits around the moon. But the moon has like some weird. It's like lasers coming out of it or whatever. It's really freaky, man. I mean, but if you touch the photograph and enlarge it, you could see them spirits.
You mean like in the laser or the like craters of the moon, where it has like the patterns of the moon? You mean craters on the moon? You see spirits? Is that what you mean, Neil?
Yeah, I could see them. Well, yeah, you got to press on the photograph that's in Discord. It's that's not a light, that's the moon. But you got to press on it and you enlarge it, and you can see all the spirits that's in the sky. That you can see their faces. Really good.
Okay, but
I got my phone. I'm gonna use my. Sorry.
Okay, but
Go ahead,
Neil,
I'm sorry.
Neil, not everybody listening
Yeah.
is in our Discord. That's private, so they're not going to see that. So you want to put it on in Twitter and attach hashtag 47talk, and that way anyone can go in my Twitter at hashtag 47talk is where I post things, or post it in my Facebook on Monster Castle Paranormal Facebook. And if you do, make sure.
Yeah, I'm doing a
to sign up.
hashtag 47talk search right now with my phone.
Yeah, and you're gonna find my all the stuff I post on Twitter. And
yeah, live podcast. You got the red dot next to live podcast.
So yeah,
and then open lines. You got the number. I'm gonna retweet that. There we go. So I just retweeted.
Yeah, the other place you can go to see posts where we can post things like pictures that people can see would be in my Facebook, Monster Castle Paranormal Facebook. It's easy to find. And if you're there...
Okay, I just put it on Twitter.
All right. And
I put it on Twitter now.
Did you use hashtag 47?
No, I just connected to the thing that my eyeball that's connected to your thing tonight, you know.
You're talking about Wolfman or me, Neil?
I did it on the Twitter, when, you know how you find the show on Twitter. I put it on that and Discord. I took a photograph of the moon, but you got to enlarge it.
I'm not seeing
make
it in any of my Twitter.
Yeah, did you? If you tag it with hashtag 47talk, it'll automatically put it on the stream. You know, it's like a electronic stream. Because otherwise, you're just posting out in the ether.
We're not going to find it. So you're better off posting it in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, that tag is very important. Because otherwise, we don't see. I mean, I suppose unless I go to your Twitter.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not even sure if people can post on my Facebook page because somebody told me before they tried posting there and it didn't even work. I gotta fix that somehow.
I just saw a couple of your posts seconds ago.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if other people can post on my Facebook page. I'm not sure if they can.
Twitter or Facebook.
That's weird, but you can definitely post in hashtag 47talk in Twitter. I'm gonna check that out later. That's something I was curious about that I haven't quite figured out all the bugs on all this yet, but. That would be my choice if I could get that working. And that'd be great.
Yeah, I could figure it out later though, but you know
okay.
If you
there,
ever
I'm seeing it now.
night vision goggles on the moon, man, I tell you what, you can see some shit.
Right,
Tommy needs to try to get night vision on your cell phone.
Okay, I'm gonna retweet this with my.
Say, Neil, interesting you say that, Neil. For one of my, or actually a couple of them, there was an app. It wasn't night vision, but it was a simulated. What do you call it? Infrared. it wasn't actual infrared where where it reads the heat. It was just a simulation of infrared. But at first, frankly I didn't want to use it because it simulated infrared and it looked similar to it. But if it's not really, for quote unquote, part of the tropes in the paranormal is, I personally don't understand why this is supposed to happen, but I guess the temperature drops wherever there's a paranormal, there's a sighting or some kind of event. And so that's why I wanted to use infrared, but because that stuff's pretty expensive, to be honest with you. So I thought I'd try an app.
Let me tell you a secret. If you get on your Play station on your phone, you can get it free. You just look up night vision goggles with the green eyeballs, and it's a camera. It's a camera. You can film it. You could take photographs. And you can see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I actually have seen them, and I kind of sampled it, but for a couple of my what was one of them? It was okay. If you go to Joseph Moore, go to Twitter. This is really more for the audience, but everyone else can do it too if you want to. So you can link to one of my investigative blogs, Joseph Moore, JOSETHMOORE, in Twitter. You'll see my official Twitter site, and it's easy to find. Just scroll down. You'll see a kid, like a creepy ass kid. He's like silhouetted, and his eyes are like white. He's holding a teddy bear. Click on that, and then that way you can see the links to all of my paranormal investigations that I've done. I tried for a couple of my investigations. I tried the simulated, stressing simulated infrared, but it's like I didn't feel I wanted to. Okay, it's already controversial in the paranormal field to begin with, and if I use something that was fake infrared and not truly reading heat, that would cast some doubts on A, my integrity, B, is he just, I would just be another paranormal investigator who's using some kind of trickery with a gadget. I didn't want to do that. So that's why I chose not to use it for, except for a reference. I put one or two pictures up as a reference, just so the readers can see what it looks like. But yeah, like the Spirit Box, these shows that you see or you read about or podcasts. I did a little bit of research on a Ghost Box. I still don't fully understand. I mean, I did read about it. I still don't fully understand how it's supposed to work. Can anybody? I'm not being sarcastic or rhetorical. Wolfman or Neil or Angela, anybody else out there, or even an audience member, I honestly don't understand how a Ghost Box is supposed to work. I seriously don't get it. Does anyone know how Ghost Box works? I should say.
Okay, well, basically, it I don't really understand everything about it, but I can say it does work by using radio frequencies from radio stations, and it just picks words out of this one and then jumps to another one and picks a word out of there and picks. I don't know how it does it. So if it's just randomly picks words and just switches stations and plop, 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 and drops words in from different radio stations that are in the area and receivable from that box. Or if it's actually an entity that's somehow manipulating it, I have no idea. Because sometimes
let me ask you, Wolfman, do you think it's it's legitimate? Ghost Box? Do you think it's a legitimate?
Like I said, I would probably think that it's random, generated, and it just plops little signals. Sometimes it makes a sentence, and it's just coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidence though, so it's just random. So if it makes a sentence, it's just a random generated.
I don't think really they know how
I really
it works.
don't think
Truly, I think it's
that a ghost can
Wait a
pick
minute.
words out of this station and that station and string it together in a sentence. Which, unless you're getting,
to me, it sounds like because I've seen it on some shows, and I checked it. I just did a little research to see how it evolved, and I don't know. It's kind of vague. It's like, okay, so how? So okay, let me step back a little bit and say, tell you how I personally did some of my the logistics of my investigation.
hang on. I'm just going to give you my thought before I lose it. It's audible.
Yes, please.
Okay, audible pareidolia is what I would say.
Audible, like seeing things in.
Yeah, like when you look at a tree and you see faces in a tree. But this is, you're listening to a bunch of jumbled words, and your mind is going to pick sentences.
It's an audible version of it.
Yeah.
I guess you could look at it like King Solomon's temple. In the ark, there were voices, there was messages. And if you look at the way the doors are framed in King Solomon's temple, it reminds me of the spirit box.
Huh.
Interesting.
That's interesting. I never heard that on the take on it. But okay. Okay. What I learned, and I did a lot of research going out on like the state capitol here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I went to the Temple building, where a lot of people have heard of Johnny Carson. Well, the late Johnny Carson. He's dead now. He used to have his own variety show on NBC. He's actually from, I think it's Norfolk, Nebraska, I believe. But he went to school here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I did an investigation there at the Temple building and a park and some former places I used to work. But before I do field work, I do research first, because you got to do your homework before. Well, you don't have to, but I choose to do it that. And part of my research that I learned was about the Hertz level, as an HERTZ, Hertz level. Long story short, it's basically some kind of frequency that cycles 1,000 times a second. That's 1 hertz. Well, for human beings, part of the trope of paranormal is there's some real science mixed in with it, because and if you go to my blog 1 of my paranormal research, so blog number 1 of para events is what I call them. Scroll all the way down to the comments section, and you see that I posted a bunch of articles because that was my first blog of my paranormal investigation. So I thought to kind of like almost like footnotes, like electronic footnotes. I would just put a bunch of them there. But anyway, Hertz, anything that at the Hertz level, if it's 18 hertz or less, and it could go all the way down to like in the hundreds, like 10 100ths of a hertz. I think we should go down lower than that. That's considered that is, scientifically speaking, that is mostly beyond the human perception to hear. I can hear a little bit, and if you go to YouTube, you can probably hear it's like a low rumble, like a car idling, or like a big truck. So maybe it's probably best to go down more like 10 and below, and basically human ear can't pick that up. But in contrast, a mouse can hear 90,000 hertz level. That's high pitch. That's extremely high pitch. It's insanely high pitch. And mice, I believe it's mice, maybe it's rats, whichever species, they can actually hear that, and that's obviously well beyond. But 18 and below for hertz, that's considered paranormal. So what I did is I used my old ZTE phone, and I have a hertz level reader on it, and I used it like a dog whistle. If it's true, and I'm saying this as a skeptic, whether it's nighttime or daytime, and I've done my investigation during day and night. And I present this to believers. If it's true that such entities exist, it shouldn't matter if it's dark or daytime, and I'm researching both daytime and nighttime. I use my hertz level. I would trigger it, as, kind of like a dog whistle, because it's beyond our perception when it's 18 hertz or below. So I did that. If you, again, go to my blogs and you link on them. I got a total of 9 blogs. And I have videos in addition to my written article. I purposely video myself as I'm using the hertz meter, as I'm walking through on the field, whether it's in the building or on and I'm staying quiet and I'm just letting my videos record. I never edit and I don't cut, because that way no one can question whether or not I did. And after my review, I don't see anything happening to everybody. I really. And you may be thinking, well, you're an atheist and you're a skeptic, Joseph, so you came in being biased. Well, we all have certain biases, but I am not a debunker. I will say that. I don't think it does, and I'm speaking as a skeptic. For those of us who are skeptic and in particular atheists, I don't think it does us a service when we just straightway debunk the paranormal. Because to me, yes, we can have a hypothesis, and of course you got to test that hypothesis. That's where you get to. And we're all going to have some kind of viewpoint that we're coming from. So none of us can be totally objective, so to speak. But I kept my mind open. I went back several times at the field where I conducted my my investigations, interviewed some people. I've interviewed several people so I can get beyond my experience. But ultimately it helps to video, because that way people can see. And I looked at over and over my videos. I listened to it. I used the hertz. And I'm just going to be honest with you, everybody. My blog number 9, my most recent one that I blogged about 2 weeks ago, I call it an assessment blog. And it's like, okay, I've done 11 investigations. And long story short, because you can read it for yourself, long story short, out of those 11 investigations, after a year and a half, a year and 4 months, I've been doing investigations for a year and 4 months now. And I can safely say I did not see anything. Personally speaking, everybody, specifically to ghosts, I have not seen anything. Now, I will say some of my, I always, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 blogs, I always try to have a classification. Did I debunk it, or was I able to affirm it, or was I able to? Was it just simply unknown? Those are my 3 categories: debunk, affirmation, or unknown. The majority of my 11 investigations are unknowns, but that it's kind of like saying UFO. Just because you UFO, it doesn't exactly aliens necessarily. It just means unidentified flying object. You don't know what it is. In my case, for my investigations, my category of unknown, I just don't, even after doing investigations for hours or in some cases days, even with the information I have, even with me interviewing several people or a few people, even with me observation using my videos and my equipment, much information as I have, I still don't know why that noise happened, why that screw dropped on that dryer. That's blog number 4, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's so cool, man. Where are we going now? We're almost at the bottom of the hour again. Wow, time's flying. I wanted to mention that Joseph is also a author of science fiction books.
Thank you, Wolfman.
And what else, man? You're so multi-talented.
I appreciate that. I don't see it that way, but I just have multi-interests. But I appreciate you saying that, Wolfman. Correct. Just go to Google, plug in well, you know what? Let's just keep it simple. Again, just stick to Twitter and just stick to my official Twitter site, Joseph Moore. Not as the handle. Just plug in Joseph Moore. You'll see like an Aladdin, like the oil lamp, like a genie. The old tale about rubbing a lamp and a genie comes. In my profile picture, you'll see a lamp, like a genie lamp from the Middle East. That's the profile. I just like the image. I just chose that. It's for one of my stories. So Joseph Moore, click on that on Twitter, my official site, and just scroll down, and then you see my ebooks. I also have paperback novels. I pinned that tweet. So you see my Lunar series, Lunar Legends.
And the Wolfman series that you wrote about me, right?
If you want me to, I can. And then book three came out three years ago, and that's called Visitor's Arrival. Book 3 of the Lunar series. I pinned that tweet, and I use Google samples so that way people can get an idea of not just my writing style, but also the books themselves.
Okay, well, you know what? It's 4:20, so I'm sparking up right now. I hope everybody else does for the break. That it is legal here in Canada now, so I ain't doing nothing wrong when I do it.
Right.
I don't think anything that. No, we should be able to self-medicate ourselves because the doctors aren't doing it right. There's so many people that, that like they got psychiatric problems or depressed or something, and they get dumped and used as a guinea pig and dumped a whole bunch of pills down their throat and everything. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help.
Well, as everyone knows, we have that opioid problem here in the United States. That's saying something.
Well, there's a big meth problem now all over, too. It's huge.
You mean in Canada, or you mean?
Oh, yeah, in Canada, too, man. There's a huge meth problem and opioids and all that. And fentanyl. Oh, my God. It's killing people. Yeah, that's terrible.
I had a friend who wigged out on crack, and it was kind of sad to see him do that. This is like several years ago. But that's a different drug. But now these days it's prescriptions. Is where it's at now, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, we're almost there at the bottom of the hour again. And, oh, excuse me, I'm smoking a joint. So who else is...
Smoke away, my friend. And, of course, it is legal. I forgot how many... It's like, I think it's 20 states, I believe. In the United States.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. There are various, various levels. Some are just outright legalized. I believe California, not surprisingly. I think I haven't been following it like I should be, but like Oregon, California, Washington State, and there are some municipals, some certain cities that kind of legalize.
I can't.
And of course, some are medically focused. Some are, Here in Nebraska, there is a legislation about hemp, okay? Not even marijuana or not even cannabis, just hemp. And they didn't shoot it down, but it got stuck in I think it got stuck in the legislature, and they didn't even vote on it.
That's terrible.
Yeah, hemp. Because that's how some people, Omaha and Lincoln, the two cities, Omaha's the biggest and Lincoln's second biggest. We're the most progressive in all of Nebraska, but we still, culturally speaking, Nebraska is still very conservative.
Okay,
and some people just can't let it go.
Here's a little point about hemp. Most Bibles are made out of hemp paper. Yeah.
What?
Yes, that's what they make Bibles out of, hemp paper. Because it's it's the strongest paper you can make. You can't get anything better than hemp paper. That. And Levi's jeans used to be made out of all hemp fabric, and they lasted forever. And that's why they don't make them like that anymore.
Well, a lot of people, like I said, it's specific to Nebraska. There are other.
We're on break. Ow!
Country Dennis.
We are on break.
And he will be
we'll be right back.
Best kind of chemistry from the country you have ever never had this kind of service for this price. And those other tenants, they don't know what they're doing because they fuck up on your teeth. They drill holes and your fillings fall out and you fuck. So
yeehaw!
Country Dennis, we'll fix you up, man.
I'm the dental assistant, and I use the crazy glue. We use lots of whiskey.
And
oh, no, you don't. Yep, myself.
Oh, you hurt yourself? Oh. Stop that. That's really dumb.
We better get out of here. He's much too smart for us.
Here we go. Mary Jane. Chanting worms. I promised you this one, and here you go. And we are back. Grooviness. We're back with lots of grooviness, baby. Oh, man, I'm so happy about that song. So yeah, they emailed me that one just a little while ago. Brand new song. And they have another one too. It's a love song, and I'll get that one for the next show. These are all royalty music and that's strictly heard here on Monster Castle Paranormal Radio. And I have some other bands too that I scope bands. So if you know any bands that want to have their music and it's good, it's got to be good. And I'll put it on and I'll use it for my bumper music.
I have a friend that I work with. She's in a band.
Do they have some recordings done, like professional sounding?
Yeah, they tour. They tour Nebraska. They have a studio. I think they have a studio. I can mention it to her if that's okay.
And give her my contact information and tell her that if she wants, I'll review her stuff and send me your best songs and I'll play them.
Okay, I will write that down and do that.
Awesome, buddy.
Wolfman.
Thank you. This works out good for the artist and for the station. It's mutually beneficial.
Awesome.
It's like when I have a guest, sometimes I can get in touch, get your fans in touch with other fans, and my fans in touch with your fans, and contacts mingle. That's what I mean. So you end up both with more contacts by doing that. And
absolutely,
yeah. And you reach out to more every time you do it. Every time I have a guest, and my guests meet each other and mingle, because we all get to know each other. Especially, and that's why I really like my Discord. And I use it just for guests of my show or co-hosts. And that way you can mingle with all kinds of really cool people and expand your own you'll reach out to more people that way. And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
The more people we can reach out to and get this message, you're the same, you have the same goal in life basically as I do, being a secular humanist. You want to change things in a positive way. You're not going to stand for what's going on. That's basically what it means in a nutshell, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has a different way of doing it. We're in the creative, as they say, the creative crowd. That's just another way of saying the humanities, basically. It's a new version of humanities when they say creative crowd. But, that's Silicon Valley, which I've been to. That's Silicon Prairie, where I live. In New York City and other places mostly, but other places. People who are creative, whether it's tech, high tech, or whether it's old-fashioned writing poetry or, writing fiction or even nonfiction too sometimes.
Yeah, man. So, what was your most creepiest discovery when with your paranormal investigations? I remember one of your videos that where a cupboard door is opening by itself, and you checked it out.
Yeah, the China hutch. Thank you for remembering that. It was 3, and that's still. I have it pinned. I have the videos pinned on another Twitter account I have. That's where I put my videos on.
Okay, where is that? Everyone's going to want to see this. It's awesome.
Okay. I'll give the Twitter handle because I named it. But it's Master. It's the same as Master Mastaba. Exact same as my Twitter handle for my main, not my official, the political one. Yeah. But put a number 1. So Master at. Excuse me. Let me start.
At Master Mastaba with an H and a number 1.
Correct. And the number 1. That's the handle. So, so you plug that in, and then you'll see the people who are Star Wars fans know what I'm talking about. You'll see a sketch version of C3PO profile picture, and there should be the Star Trek Enterprise in the banner.
It's just like it sounds, folks. Like Master Mastaba with an H at the end and then the number 1. It's easy. I'm posting it in the Spreaker chat room as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And so to answer, I appreciate them, Wolfman. So to answer your question about the creepy, that's a very good question, Wolfman, especially being skeptic. I would say, believe it or not, Wolfman and everyone else, for me, the scariest till this day is not even the thing, not even the events I did cover, investigate, but my very first entry, and I call them events. So that's in blog number 1, was when my brother and I were preteens. I was about 10 or 9, and he was about 9 or 8, and I blogged about this. It's when we were, and plus I talked about it on your show before too. We were living in the south part of Lincoln, Nebraska. Back is like 1979 or 1980. Lincoln was a lot smaller than what it is. So it was truly just a big town. Lincoln we're a small big city now, but back then we were a small town then. And so there was a lot that's relevant because back then there was a lot of open space, and they were doing a lot of developing of houses and tracts of land and whatnot. We were living in the south part of Lincoln, so we were the edge of Lincoln. So a lot of fog one day was out, and my brother and I were playing outside. It was daytime. We heard footsteps. I remember clearly footsteps, but we saw no one. And the footsteps kept sounding like they were getting closer and closer to us. We both ran inside the house. And I keep forgetting to talk to my brother about this to get his point of view from it. He lives in Los Angeles now, and we don't really talk. But anyway, but that's the creepiest, and I mean literally the creepiest, at one of the creepiest times in my whole life ever. And I was about 10 years old then. And
So-
I'm 48 now, so that's a long time.
Yeah, okay. So you wasn't on one of your investigations. So did you find out, did you try to look, or were you too scared to see what made the sound?
That's a good question, Wolfman. Back then, what I do remember, I don't remember after that. The event itself was so obviously memorable. Well, I did write one of my ebooks. I wrote parts of that about the footsteps. It's called "There's No Place Like Zone." So if it's one of my ebooks. I got several ebooks, but you'll run across it. You'll be able to see it. So I based that story on this event. I don't remember what I did after we ran inside the house. I just remember us playing outside and jetting inside. It was slower than that. I hear you. It was more like, I'm going to sound like doing it like this, but okay, it's all for it. It was kind of like this.
Oh man!
It was a slow, someone dragging their feet. Much slower than that. What you just played there.
Okay, well, explain this one. Two of us saw this. Actually, it was all three of us kids saw this. It looked like an ape man's face pressed up against the basement window of my grandmother's house, which does back onto a woods. So, and it looked, well, now that I think about it, it basically looked like what you would say a Sasquatch would look like. But it's not in an area where you'd think a Sasquatch would be. But it was like a gorilla face, but more like a man.
Ooh,
big as a gorilla, but it more looked like a man. It wasn't a gorilla. And all three of us saw it. And it put its face and its hands up against the basement window, and it was looking down in there. And, yeah.
About how old were you, Wolfman?
Probably 6 years old.
That's pretty young.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of us.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Wolfman, because earlier when we first started off tonight, after all the technical thing, one of the things I mentioned that there are different types of paranormal. So, there's the ghosts, the demons, and all. That's more of the supernatural. It's like a genre. The umbrella terminology is paranormal, and under that umbrella, you got several subgenres: spirits, ghosts, ghost stories, and that's more of the supernatural. And then you got more of what I would say. This is me using this phrase. It's more practical paranormal, if you will. And what I mean by that, things that can possibly be tangible. Because, again, you and I talked about this before, and I mentioned this in my blogs as well. Because I think there is a possibility, and I'm saying possible, that there could be some species, some humanoid species that's in wooded areas. Hell, it could even be Homo sapiens. It could be other people. It's just that maybe they're so feral, so what's the, unkept, so to speak, that they look like animals. I mean, you see some people. I've got dreadlocks. I love dreadlocks.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Pinterest.
So you're saying it could be
Go
like
ahead. Sorry.
it could have been a homeless type man with a lot of facial hair
Possibly.
and dirty.
Especially as young as you were. You were even younger than what I was when I experienced that. The footsteps. Well, I'm using the word footsteps. Maybe it was something else. You were even younger than what I was. So, I mean, maybe you're very impressionable, but I believe you. I do believe you saw what you saw. I'm just not sure if it was Sasquatch or Bigfoot. It could have been a person, or, again, it's possible it could have been. And by the way, Wolfman, where in Canada were you guys living at the time?
That would be Southern Ontario, by Lake Erie, Aylmer, Port Burwell, Port Stanley is not too far. Port Dover is more famous. You might have heard of that. But it's Port Burwell is the closest, or Aylmer.
No, I've never been to Canada. So is that like
that would
way
be
out in the like countryside, or is it more like a suburb?
It's no, it's southern. It's by Lake Erie. It's only a few miles from the lake, and then if you go over, it would be Michigan on the other side of Lake Erie. It's more southerly than Toronto. It's almost as south as you can go. It's as south as you can go in Ontario, pretty much, unless you go unless you go to.
And about how far were you from Toronto? Would you say like about an hour?
2 hours.
5 minutes?
2 hours. We're in the boonies, man.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty far. That goes even more to what I'm
Toronto is on Lake Ontario. There's Niagara Falls in between. I'm on Lake Erie. That's further south. And
what was key for me? I would say what's key for me is the fact that you were so far away from any city, and the fact that you were in a more wooded, more
there is woods. Setting. There is a field, and then then there's woods past the field, and there is a stream in there So I thought about it. There is a stream that runs through those woods, like a creek. So it goes for miles.
Yeah, see that's as a paranormal investigator, to me that makes sense because out in the nature and you're a little bit older than me if I remember correctly. So I'm things have probably changed since then. Back perhaps things how population goes. Populations were smaller then than they are now when you and I were children. So what I'm saying is there's less pressure on natural habitats. So I know this speaking, and I'll tie it in with what you were just saying, Wolfman. My experience, like I said, when I was about 10 in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is, of course, is a lot smaller than Toronto, to put it mildly. But back then, Lincoln was, I don't know, about 100,000, 120,000. We're just under 300,000, just to give you an idea. But back then, that area was called Chiswick. It's still there. It's called Chiswick. But Lincoln has way grown out past that. It's like we added 2 other Lincolns to that Lincoln back then. So it's a different environment now. But back then, it was just a few houses, and the rest further south, southeast, was just open prairie fields, because this is Nebraska. So open prairie fields. And there was a couple of cul-de-sacs, but there were only a few houses. So again, similar to you, now after the urban setting, you were actually out in the country. But what's interesting is it still was more of a country rural setting. And that's what seems to be, you see what I'm saying? So I think it could possibly have been what you experienced. I mean, who knows? I mean, with all those woods, the wooded areas that you guys have in Canada, and especially with the lake, and you add in the Lake Erie that you're talking about. I mean, it is possible that it could have been some kind of species not discovered yet, or could have been a homeless person just camping out, or a hippie, out walking about and just was curious, or hopefully just curious. But I don't debunk. And for me too, I believe what you're saying. I really do. I just don't believe in jumping to conclusions that a UFO is automatically a spaceship from planet Z, or in this, it could be any of them. But then again, I could be wrong,
Joseph,
Hey, Darren, how's it going?
good. Have you ever played with the Ouija board?
Ha ha! Good question. Yes and no, my friend. Yes and no. Let me explain this. Okay. About around 2007-ish. This was after me and some younger people had formed what's called the Lincoln Secular Humanist. We, a bunch of atheists, we got together, some secularists, and anyway, we formed a society. Okay. Well, not a society. That's not the right word. Non-government organization. I'll put it.
I like how you say society.
No, because I don't think it was society. That's too formal. We weren't that formal. But anyway, one of the things I did, and being, when you're in a group of people like that, ideas float. I actually borrowed somebody's Ouija, and I took it to my apartment. This was after my time. I took it home, and I did absolutely nothing with it. I think I just left it in my apartment at the time, and it just kind of sat there for part of a week, and I gave it back to the person I borrowed it from. And I was trying to make partially an experiment, because this person that I borrowed it from was a believer, and people who believe, when I was in Silicon Valley and went to Alien Con, and people like George Norrie, he was there, and Linda Moulton Howell was there, and they used the word believers. That's how they see themselves. They see themselves as believers, which I think is a problem. I don't think you should be, because that shows you how subjective they are. And then they call themselves investigators sometimes. But anyway, Linda Howell. Anyway, I'm diverting here. The person was a believer that I borrowed it from, and I gave it back to him because he probably would have, if I told him I used it, and if something bad happened to me, he would naturally attribute it to the fact that I, quote unquote, played around with the Ouija board. But if something happened to me, but I didn't play around with it, what would be the excuse then? And that was pretty much it. I never, and by the way, it was a Parker Brothers Ouija board, literally, Parker Brothers. As in,
those are the worst ones. Out, actually.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. I want to hear you guys' thought on it. What do you guys think about?
I want to hear. Can I hear yours, Lioness? Any experience that you had with the Ouija board? I know you have. I
have. I mean, well, my sister's like 10 years older than me, and we lived in my great grandmother's house, and it was built in the early 1900s, and I live in Northern California, about 60 miles north of San Francisco, a little town. And we went into the basement, and my parents were gone. My cousin from up the street, she was like 4 or 5 years older than me. We all went down the basement. My parents were gone. It was storming outside, of course. And they had found, in my parents' basement, there's a place where it goes underneath these big steps, these big cement steps. And the house is stucco with abalone in it. And it went into it, under it, and they found it. Bones. And I guess whoever put the steps in killed somebody or something and put the bones in there. So we were all going to see if we can contact the guy. And so we got there, and the thing started moving. And the first couple times I thought it was my cousin. And then we were all sitting there, and we weren't touching the stupid thing, and it started moving by itself.
Oh, wow.
Started moving by itself?
Yeah, we were all sitting there, and we were trying to contact it, and it was going to is this Satan, and they're going, yes. And my cousin kept laughing, so I thought it was her.
What was it? So then was it saying to you?
Well, she was asking, who is this? And they said Satan. And
oh my God.
Then it said, I'm sitting there wanting to run upstairs. My sister's just going, It's nothing. And then I'm going, but you guys, we're not touching it, and the darn thing is moving. And it's moving all over the place. So my sister asks it, and she says, well, who are you? Can't be Satan. And she says, are you Satan? And it says, maybe.
There is no Satan. That's a made-up name.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but, this is what happened. And so we're sitting there, and I'm all freaked out. I'm wanting to go upstairs. And then my cousin goes, well, who is this? And it spells out Homer. So after that, it just stopped. But we all got freaked out and went upstairs. And the next day, that night, my bedroom.
Do you know, actually, can I interject here for a sec? You know what makes me believe this story is that when you said it stopped, and then it stopped. Because in most of my investigations and experiences with the paranormal, it only lasts for a little while. It seems like the spirits don't have much energy. They can only do it for a little while, and then it stops. When it's unless it's a really powerful entity, like you would say, maybe people call it a demon.
I mean, when you got your fingers on it and you've got 3 or 4 people, you kind of think, well, maybe there's somebody that's kind of pushing, even though they got stronger fingers than you do or something, But then we were all sitting there, all freaking out, and it started moving. And that was the part that freaked me out. And I wouldn't touch it after that.
Okay, cool. Did you guys try to get rid of the board?
Well, my sister put it under her bed, and then she started having nightmares. Well, I was having nightmares anyway, but nightmares. And so then she gave it to my cousin. So then her dad took it to the dump.
And did the nightmares stop? Did her nightmares stop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her nightmares, yeah. Mine I had beforehand, so.
Okay. So let me tell you a similar story really quickly. 2 minutes left before top of the hour. Excuse me. So in a rock band, and I was 16, the guitarist had a Ouija board. We played around with it for a little while. We didn't like what it was saying. It was working too, and it was saying things. I can't remember what it was saying, but he said, actually, I didn't think it was scary myself, what it was saying. It was the guitarist who said, oh, it's Satanists and it's evil and we have to get rid of it. So we burned it. We burned the Ouija board. And it really was hard to burn. It was extremely hard to burn. And there was a tarot deck that I had a tarot deck. He made me burn that too. And those cards would not burn at all. They wouldn't burn at all.
Was it like Parker? Was it like a Parker brother kind of board, or like?
It was Parker Brother board. It was one of those. And so the next day after we did this, and it was really we still couldn't get it to burn, so we just left it there in a ditch. For
the next guy to pick up.
Yeah. So anyway, we were all high too on pot, and back then we were really stoned. I'm gonna have to save the rest of the story for after the break, man. Because
you're leaving us hanging.
Yeah, because the rest of the story is the best part. Okay. Oh man. Okay, so
I was good until it started.
I might be able to tell you. So we went home the next day. The fucking board was in the guitarist's closet again, where he went. Yeah, it was back in his closet. Like it never left.
Someone could have just put it back in there.
No, it was half burned, and we burned the box. The box burned all right. It was the board that had trouble burning, but it was almost all burned up. It was the cards that wouldn't really burn.
Well, they're laminated. It's because they're laminated.
Yeah, we'll be right back, folks. I hope you're having fun tonight. I am. This is a great show, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
I'm taking a quick bathroom break, everybody.
Yeah, everybody take a little break. I'm going to play a song or two. Yeah, this is the Blueheads. Roll it.
But you I need you to keep me rolling. But I can't do that, I can't make that sacrifice. I'm so lazy, I just go crazy. I get really drunk and you pick the fights. I feel as though I owe you something. I told you once, but you've known it twice. I need you to keep me rolling. To keep me rolling. I try to clean the resin out of my pipe. I need you to keep me rolling. I try to forget you, but you're just my type. I need you to keep me rolling. I don't need no whiskey, I don't need no cocaine. I need you to keep me rolling. I stick with my green, but I don't drink my champagne. I need you to keep me rolling. I try to clear the red from out of my eyes. I need you to keep me rolling. I try to fuck you, but you always deny me. I need you to keep me rolling. I try to stay cool and not too nice. I need you to keep me rolling. But you know I must do that, I don't want no fight. I need you to keep me rolling. To keep me rolling.
Monster Castle, paranormal, radio, Monster Castle, paranormal, digital radio.
This is the Monster Castle Paranormal Radio Show with Wolfman Mike.
And we're here with Joseph Moore, Master Mastaba, from Twitter and all over the place. That's where I met you, right? On Twitter? Joseph? Hello! Oh, here we are.
Was Darren calling me, or he was just saying hi?
Oh, I was going to ask another question, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm following Mike's lead.
Okay, follow my lead. All right. Okay, I got a good lead for you here. Hang on. Wait a minute. Would you like dancing?
All right. Yeah, let's dance, baby. Come on, follow my lead. All right. We're dancing. Yeah, baby. All right. Dig it. I like rap dancing like this. Okay, yeah. Man, you're good at dancing. Give me a hug.
When I'm not. What did you want to ask, Darren?
Have you used hallucinogenic drugs to try to find God?
No, I have not, Darren.
Well, that's why you're an atheist.
Well, yeah, that too. Secondly,
if you use drugs, then you wouldn't be an atheist anymore.
Oh no, The drugs are totally separate. That's a totally separate issue to me. I am for legalization. I am big on legalization. I said this to you, everyone, before on your show before, Wolfman. But we were having a lot of technical problems the last time I said that. So I'd like to say it again real quick here because last time was too much interference. And this is
420
really
show.
in regards to legalization. Just in the United States alone, there's something like, and you can get this from the World Health Organization, I think, maybe. Definitely United States CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in the United States. Something like 450,000 in the United States die each year due to smoking tobacco-related illnesses. So they're getting cancer, and stuff. That's just the United States each year, on average. Worldwide, on average, it's about 5 million people. At least when I first read this several years ago, that's what the averages were. You don't get those kind of death rates, if any, from cannabis.
Not at all.
Right. It's just nuts that it's because of that puritanical, fundamentalist religious belief that a lot of people cannot let go of in the United States. Because if you want to deal with in terms of sheer empirical numbers, we would actually outlaw alcohol and
Oh, I was just going to say that. I was thinking the same thing.
Isn't it something like approximately, something like 26,000 people die in the United States just from, and I forgot where I got those figures, but you can read them on various sources. But something like 26,000 die in the United States each year, give or take, just from car accidents. Now, that's just in the cars. I don't know how many from drunk driving. Does anyone know out there know?
I know it's quite a bit.
Alcohol kills 3.5 million people a year. Just alcohol.
And did you know that's the only drug that affects every system of your body? And it's one that if you stop, like if you can be a heroin addict for 20 years and you stop, and it only affects like one or two systems, and it will reverse itself. But alcohol does not.
So why is it? And speaking to my American brother, why is it that alcohol and tobacco? Besides the lobby.
See, now you're cutting out like you did last time. I couldn't even hear the whole sentence. Sorry.
Is that better now?
Well, I don't think there's anything you can do. It's your internet there, but maybe it is.
Is that a little better right here?
Yes.
I think I was a little too close to the. Sorry.
That's wonderful.
We'll forgive you. It's okay.
I think I know what it is.
But but to answer your to answer your Darren, no, I have not. But I am for legalization. It's just a personal choice. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I am vegetarian for 24 years. I exercise. It's just health. My wife used to smoke cigarettes, and she quit about 2.5 years ago. A couple. She had some stressful days, and she smoked 1 or 2 cigarettes last year. But outside of that, she basically has quit smoking almost 3 years ago, or 2 years, 2.5 years. So I'm really proud that she did that.
Fantastic.
So that's how I feel about that as far as legalization goes, and it's just one of those cultural things that a lot of people, I think they're finally waking up in the United States, and somewhere in I think it was in Asia somewhere or Middle East, they were actually putting it up for a referendum about legalization.
I think people that are atheists are usually healthier because they know how to cherish they cherish their life a bit more.
It would be interesting to see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said less guilt.
I don't know of any empirical data, but speaking for myself, I would think just because being more when I say open-minded, I don't mean that as an belief. but it's just we don't have the same inhibition. So people are more likely to. Well, I mean, okay. I guess the way I see it personally, as an atheist, speaking for myself, there is only one life to live, so you might as well try. So you might as well live healthy, so you can live as long as you can. Because after this, it's lights out, folks. That's from my point of view. And I suppose a lot of people who believe that they're going to go in heaven or something, or reincarnation, I guess they could be a little bit more lax in their lifestyle because it's like, I'm going to heaven. I'm simplifying it, but I suspect there's some of that at play. I suspect.
Yeah, that reminds me of Kurt Green.
What? Why did you say that?
Because he drinks and smokes and he's looking forward to dying so he can go to heaven.
Well, his life, I don't know. I try to live as long as I can. Even if you live to 120, that's still short as far in the big scheme of things.
Well, my aunt and uncle were in a nursing home when they're in their early.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them for living that long. Hopefully it's genetic, huh?
I hope so.
Not extremely long in mine, but I'm trying.
I've never done hallucinogenics, but I'd like to do it before I die at least once.
Yeah, you should. Go for it. Hell,
Actually,
why not?
you gotta try ayahuasca once. I think that's what Graham Hancock says. So I want to try that. That's the ultimate hallucinogenic. You do it once, and you never have. People do it once, and they quit smoking, they quit drinking, they quit. Boom after that, and that's it. They don't need another dose at all. It's a one-time thing. You go through this experience. You go to a higher level, and that's it. Mushrooms.
Bring him Graham Hancock up because I was just talking to someone about because this particular person, dabbling, and I was like, hey, some people do it for spiritual reasons. Of course, there's some Native Americans who have peyote.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna do it with the natives the way you're supposed to do it that way, and you'll get the full experience of the natural way to do it. I think.
Well, don't get caught, though.
Yeah. If you go to the through the right channels, I think you should be able to do it with the natives, and I don't think the law can apply to that, can it?
You have to know somebody.
Yeah, you got to know somebody.
And we all know somebody, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I know somebody.
There's all these rules with those ceremonies. This is the real ceremony.
But anyway, I'm jumping on this train with you, man. I think I want to be a secular humanist. I'm jumping on the train, and here we go.
It sounds like you already are.
Yeah. I'm going to say this real quick, and I alluded to it just a little bit, Wolfman and everybody else. But like I said, I'm going to reiterate it. Being a secular humanist is not the same as being an atheist. An atheist is just that. Again, Greek origins of the word atheist. A means without, and theist without theocracy, religion, without God, if you will, without God, more specifically. Okay, but, I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think you could be an atheist. Okay, what is it when you just don't believe in religions, but you do believe in there is some sort of higher, like there's an order to the universe when you get to a molecular level and it looks like there's an intelligent design. So
that's the deism we were talking about.
Right.
Angela,
God.
And like I said, I still don't believe that. I don't see enough. I was just reading something recently off of Twitter, I think it was Top Buzz. That was the platform, but the article itself, I forgot what the publication it was, but it was about. And I think some scientists, astronomers, astrophysicists, just because they're scientists, I think sometimes they still kind of get a little out there. But it's something about, it's kind of like string theory. And Dr. Brian Greene is famous for this. He had a presentation on, I forgot which institution Dr. Greene is with. I think it's like Princeton or something, somewhere in the East Coast, in New York or something. Princeton, I think, is in Jersey. But anyway, the string theory, long story short, everything has some kind of wobbly string-like structure, kind of like think of it as an atom. It's string, and it's within atoms. It's even in a smaller state than atoms. And everything is just like wobbling. Well, there's this theory about there are multiverses, perhaps, and it gave rise, maybe perhaps the universe as we know it came about as a result of a bigger bang or a previous big bang, and there was another bang, and this is another carnation of a bang. And well, I mean, it's good to speculate, but I again, without some kind of more, that's where the agnosticism comes in, and again, Greek, and the literal translation of agnostic, it is not sitting on the fence like a lot of people tend to use it. It means the Greek origins is, here we go again with the prefixes and the suffixes. Without the being able to know, Gnostic, without being able to know. We don't have the ability to prove nor disprove if there was another universe before, frankly, even after. I mean, it's just, how do you even know that? That's
I like
to a
the
certain
way,
extent, all of us are agnostic in the sense that, human beings, that we can't prove nor disprove what came before the Big Bang, if there was anything. We can't prove. It's impossible to be able to prove or disprove.
Exactly. But I love the way that you went to...
Let me say this real quick.
Okay.
Let me say this real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Wolfman, I'll stop. Just because a person says that doesn't prove or I don't know, it's just thinking about. That does not necessarily mean UFO to an alien spaceship. Saying, oh, it's a mystery, I don't know. Oh, therefore God. It's just we don't know. And the information's not there, period. And that's all that means. It doesn't, nothing more, nothing less. I just wanted to get that out real quick.
Okay.
Sorry, brother.
No, that's fine. So what I was going to say is I love the way that you refer, when you want to research something, you go to the root of the word. And it reminds me of Jordan Maxwell. Are you familiar with Jordan Maxwell?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Okay. Well, you're going to be, because he's going to be one of my guests coming up.
Oh, okay.
He emailed me today. This guy he's a language specialist, and he's done a lot of research, and he just absolutely hates bullshit. And if there's bullshit, he'll find it.
Jordan Maxwell.
Oh, yeah, you'll love this guy. You're going to love this guy.
Writing him down. Okay. All right.
I took a long shot and reached out to him, and he responded. So we're going to...
When are you having him on?
I don't know yet. I sent him an email today. He might be listening to us. Are you familiar with him?
I've heard the name, yeah. I've heard his shows. I can't remember exactly what he talks about, but I remember.
He talks a lot about religion and Illuminati and stuff like that, and he uses the roots of words to find and show you and demonstrate really wild things that blow your mind.
Well, let me know when he's on. I'll request off that night.
Oh, this is going to be worth it, this one. You don't want to miss this.
Are you saying he's on, like, next week or something?
No, it won't be for probably another month. I'm sure he's busy, man. He usually charges $200 per podcast for him to be on.
Oh, wow. So is he like,
He's world renowned. He's gone all over the world he knows all kinds of people.
Well, I just used my phone and I just Googled him, and yeah, it says American researcher. And yeah, I see him. Yeah. Okay. He's got a DVDs collection. Pseudonym of oh, it's a pseudonym. Oh, no, he goes by Van Russell Pine sometimes.
Yeah, he had a really famous radio show too.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's Jordan Maxwell's show.
I have to listen to that.
I'm not sure if he's still doing it. I think something happened with his network, and now he's doing podcast after podcast. And I noticed it on YouTube that he was doing this. So I thought, wow, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Well, I can speaking as one. Okay, and it's interesting that you say that about podcast versus radio. When I first did a podcast interview, it was before you actually, Wolfman. It was a friend of mine. He's out in Missouri. Need to hit him up again, see how he's doing. He hosts what's called The Atheist's Human. And I actually tweeted something with both of you last year because it was the International Podcast Day last year. But anyway, I'm trying to remember I can't believe I forgot his name. But anyway, he hosts Atheist Human, and he himself is atheist as well. But that was the first podcast I had done, and this, 2017 is when I did my first one with you, January. I'd say it was about a year or two before so that's some time ago now. I didn't know the difference between radio and podcasting, or live streaming and then podcasting. I didn't realize that, I thought you could.
Yeah. Live streaming, that's true. This is more like internet radio because I live stream, so that's more like internet radio.
It's live streaming. It's live, but what makes it a podcast is the fact that it's recorded, and then you can upload it, you can listen to it whenever. That's what
right.
Basically makes it a podcast. At least I hope I understand that. But It's interesting that it's someone who's coming from academia, Jordan Maxwell. Because I think a lot of people are finally, and I see a lot, NPR, National Public Radio, for those who may international who don't know what that is. They're turning to a lot more podcasts too, I noticed. And I think a lot, because there's more freedom in the podcast. And I don't mean just because you can curve on it, but it's just more flexible. And it's equivalent to wearing jeans and a t-shirt instead of having to put on a tuxedo when you go on say radio or network TV. And it's just a more comfortable feel to it. Now there could be drawbacks, but I just find it interesting that you said Jordan Maxwell turning more towards podcast. I think that says.
Linda Moulton Howe just crossed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube channel.
Wow, good for her.
100,000.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, she's probably getting paid some money now.
Oh,
I wonder. I don't know how that works. I'm sure something with advertising.
Yeah, it's hard to make money off that. You don't make a whole lot off that, unless you get a brand name and get a deal with. You got to get a brand deal, and then.
I read a couple of articles or so about and also some videos. Like some people who they call them influencers. They're not necessarily famous people, but they have like you said, tons of hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of followers, and they're just like kids. I mean, as like younger than teenagers. And something happens, or the subject matter gets a little stale, because we're short, we have short attention spans. And all of a sudden, their followers drop, and then they lose their status as an influencer. That's kind of an interesting thing. There's some kind of study about the psychology of social media on people, and it's still in progress because social media is still a relatively new thing in society.
Yeah.
Did you hear our show last night?
And
I'm sorry I missed it. I did not. I'm sorry.
There's a guy talking about the new ground-penetrating LIGAR.
Yeah, that's new too.
It's the golden age of archaeology. It's incredible. They've found 80,000 new archaeological sites.
Sweet.
They found in 5 minutes what used to take 5 months.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's just the field is just it's nobody knows how. It's just like finding it's like opening up the oceans and being able to see in them. Yeah,
and I also
able to go into the jungles too. Over the jungles, they found cities that they didn't even know was there at all.
He checked out the Malibu structure, and it really does have columns, and the LiDAR shows that it is a structure.
Well, and plus there's a controversy about people digging up cultural heritages and selling them. And now a lot of countries governments, I probably should say, a lot of governments, not countries, governments, they're, in this atmosphere that we live in, and let's be honest about it, nationalistic. And when governments are like people, a collective personality. When you're nationalistic, you tend to be inwardly thinking, and you don't want to share things. A lot of governments are now saying, like this situation between Greece and England, the British government. There was some long, strung out argument about in London. Yeah, they have. I forgot the name. Greek structure, but I think it's Greece. They want their statues back. They want them shipped back from London and put them back in Greece. And so a lot of
people from Egypt want some back too.
We sent a whole bunch of stuff back to India under Obama.
Yes, that's correct.
The Greece thing is really big because it'll set a precedent for the whole world. And they've gone through court after court after court. Do you know where it's at now?
I personally don't. I haven't followed recently, but it was, when it first started happening, I would hear and read about it. I haven't heard anything recently, but I do think in the bigger picture, stepping back, looking at the puzzle, we don't have all the pieces, but I have a pretty good idea of what the picture is. And I think it's all tied in, and nothing happens in a vacuum. This Brexit thing that the UK is going through, Trump was, happened in Italy. The 5-star, there's some weird right-wing party over there in Italy. And, just the Western world reacting to the global situation. All that's tied in together. None of this is in a vacuum. And I think a lot of these governments demanding their pieces of culture back reflects that.
How can you prove
it looks like we're at the bottom of the hour. We're just going to have a short break here, folks, and we'll be right back after this
a stick that's true will describe an even arc.
Commercial.
And now watch a champion use it. Now, Willie Hoppy, how mild can a cigarette be?
Well, I've been smoking Camels for 20 years. I know they're mild and they really taste great.
Yes, Camels are so mild that in a test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, throat specialists making weekly examinations reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. But prove for yourself how mild a cigarette can be. Test Camels for 30 days in your T-zone. Let your taste and throat tell you about Camel's flavor and mildness.
Wow. That's good. Throat specialist?
Kurt!
Round. It was just wheels in the sky. Wheels within wheels, all giant. I saw wheels in the sky. I saw lights. And they were spinning. Wheels in the sky.
Monster Castle Paranormal Radio, and we're back. All right. Can you do it? Yeah. Thank you, Kurt Green.
Yeah, I think. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
I think the governments are going to put the kibosh on this LiDAR.
You think so?
He said some guy in Oklahoma, he said, used it and then showed up at the bank with $50 million worth of gold.
Wow. Yeah? Yeah. Somebody's fallen down the stairs there. I think Joseph fell down the stairs.
No, that's me walking in our 100-year-old with squeaky wooden floors. I'm sorry. I had to throw something away.
Okay. Me too. I'm going to throw something away. There. It's gone. I shouldn't have thrown it through the window, though. That was stupid.
Well, so now this is the last 30 minutes, correct? This is the last 30 minutes. Is that correct, Wolfman?
Yeah, we got 37 minutes because we started late.
37.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking that, to kind of like bookend this conversation tonight I've been having in regards to Lorraine Warren and my paranormal research. Part of what's my latest blog was blog number 9, and it's what I call an assessment blog. And I step back and I if you go to my Twitter site, Joseph Warren, scroll down, you'll be able to see it. I basically sum up all 11 of my events, situations, entries, and it's kind of like, okay, take an assessment after half of as a paranormal investigator. Basically, it's just I don't see anything personally. There are some things that, like I said, I don't know. It's unknown. I don't know what's going on. Now, moving on as a paranormal investigator, what I'd like to do now, and we talked about the subgroups, the subgenres of paranormal. I've been focusing on the ghost stories and whatnot here in Lincoln, Nebraska. What I'd like to go on to next now is like UFOs and basically cryptozoology. That's where, so more of UFOs, Bigfoots, and things of that nature. And I'd like to do it because I'm supposed to be traveling for Star Wars, going to Star Wars with what's called the Galaxy's Edge. It's basically Star Wars land, kind of like the Harry Potter thing with in Orlando. So I'm going to try to go to that. I'm going to try to hit 2 birds with 1 stone, maybe do some kind of paranormal investigation, either in California or Florida, whichever one I do. So that's kind of where my long-term plan, because I think I think I may have kind of exhausted the ghost stories here, at least in Lincoln, Nebraska, right now. So that's kind of where I am currently.
Well, then you must have some stories about, like, what's the coolest story from around the area there that you've investigated? Something strange.
Good question. Coolest story. Well, and there, if you Google it, there are more. The major ones were the state capitol. It's about 400-foot tall edifice. Not quite a skyscraper, but I would say probably the state capitol just for the sheer size. And it is a public setting. I think that's very important for paranormal investigators because a lot of times they're on private land, and and no one else has access to it, and therefore it seems convenient that no one else can confirm or deny that what you're investigating is real because no one else has access. Because you have to get special permission to go to these private lands. I think it's important to investigate on public lands, by the way, so that way other people can look into what you're doing, because otherwise you're just out there by yourself and conveniently, no, yeah, I saw some ghosts out there. Well, can I see? No, because you got to go talk to farmers. But anyway, one of the coolest place for investigation. I'd say the Capitol. And by the way, Wolfman, we all have, all of us who use social media, we all do this. We all have dashboards for our respective accounts, whatever it is, whether it's your podcasting or your social media. Based on my analytics, look at my dashboard, my blog for the state capitol here in Lincoln, Nebraska, my paranormal research there, that's blog number 5. That was by far my most popular and the most read of all my blogs. Several hundreds. It's approaching 1,000 reads. Not quite there
you
yet,
should put a link to that for us if you could, for everybody in this Twitter or in the Spreaker chat room.
Absolutely.
If you could.
I will try.
You can do it later. You don't have to do it right now.
I'll use my phone.
Okay.
Because I don't want to touch my laptop because we have a good connection right now.
Can you tell us what one of the stories from the Capitol specifically that was interesting?
Oh, yeah. Good question, Darren. You asked some good questions. I keep forgetting that. I'm so used to thinking about the big picture, I forget the smaller puzzles of the piece. Okay, with the state capitol, the state capitol, long story short, it was designed by an architect named Goodhue. I forgot his first name. They started back in the 1930s, built in Lancaster County. Part of the blog number 5, I did a little research, and you know the trope. Was the edifice or the property, was it built on Native American? Well, if according to my research, the Ponca, they're one of the tribes here. Obviously, just the fact that it's in Nebraska, it's Native American land. But I didn't see in my research anything specific to where the state capitol is. I started with that. And there are no stories, no legends that I know of that tie in the state capitol to any of Native American references, which is unusual because usually there are, especially out in the Plains state. But anyway, the stories, Darren, is supposedly there are several. And actually they were debunked, I debunked it eventually. Number 5, the state capitol was one of my investigations I was actually able to do. I will connect that like you suggested, Wolfman, but I can't talk, text at the same time. Okay, tweet at the same time. One of the urban...
Tweet it later.
You go in the elevator, which I did several times. There are 2 elevators, I believe. And supposedly there's a man's voice that's kind of moaning, as in, like, when I say moaning, as in like he's in pain or anguish. Another one is the capitol is, like I said, about 400 feet tall. The highest you can go within the interior of the state capitol is about 13 stories. Supposedly, there's an apparition that's falling down, moaning, not screaming. Another one is supposedly there's an apparition that's falling down. I guess like, I'm not exactly sure how falling down, because if you saw the structure on the inside, but anyway, falling down within the state capitol, but the apparition disappears right before it hits the floor. Didn't see that either. Another one is like 1 or 2 females supposedly had fallen over the edge of a stairwell and died. That was one of them. And I went to all these areas of the state capitol. There were some other. And the most famous one probably is, supposedly there was a guy, and I heard this when I was 5 years old, and it was fun. And I'll get to the debunking in just a bit here. There was the urban legend is that supposedly it was a guy who was a prison inmate, and that they let him, I guess, go on work supposedly, and I don't know exactly when supposedly. Obviously before I was 10 years old, so we're probably talking the 50s or 60s. Supposedly he was stringing up some Christmas.
What the hell?
I don't know.
What?
Well,
oh, it's probably my cat. I'm sorry.
Whoa, that was freaky, man. I was like, what the hell?
And anyway, supposedly this guy was spraying Christmas lights and from this on the exterior of the state capitol. This was all debunked by and as one of the videos I have and blog number, I actually videoed this lady. She said it publicly, so I'm going to use her name publicly. She didn't mind. Her name is Roxanne Smith. She is the person who's in charge of the tour, like you're physically walking in the state capitol. And she said she did her own research independent of mine, and none of that was true. She wasn't able to get it confirmed. Basically, you can see the video. I videoed her, and she was conducting a tour as I talked to her and video recorded. And that's blog number 5. And I will pin that in just a few seconds here. My own debunking is I was blog number 5, did my own research, walk through, use the hertz level, and later on I implemented. Went in the elevators, make sure I listened. I videoed without interruption, no editing, so people can listen, see if they can hear a man's voice in anguish in the elevator. None of that was manifested. Plus, I asked several, like close to 20 people that were in the state capitol independently, like, hey, did you experience this? Did you see this? And sometimes I tell them what I was doing as an investigator. Sometimes I didn't. I just cold asked them, did you notice anything weird around here? Just like that. I didn't tell them that I was an investigator. So sometimes yes, sometimes no, kind of like a control group and, a non-control group. And none of them, not a single one of them said they experienced any apparitions or anything. And that's in addition to myself walking through, observing, research, using the hertz, kind of like a dog whistle when it hurts, the paranormal trope, 18 hertz or less, paranormal, beyond human level. Did all that. So I actually was able to officially debunk any and all ghost stories of the state capitol in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Wow. He is a debunker, ladies and gentlemen. And that's good.
I did a total 4 out of the 11 of the.
Well, if I was a ghost, I would not hang out at the fucking state capitol to begin with.
But then why would people say that they're experiencing this? That's not me. Saying
then
that.
you never ran into anybody that did experience it.
Correct. That is correct.
And you didn't see anything yourself.
That is correct. And not just seeing, I video record as I walked. And again, blog number 5. I'm about to pin it here so people can see. And you can watch you can judge. And it's like I said, it's public. It's a public setting. So our tax-paying dollars, at least in Nebraska anyway, we're paying for it, so anyone can go there first.
Okay.
Go here, check it out yourself.
I've got a question for you. Okay.
Yes.
What evidence have you collected that is and remains unexplainable to yourself? That was some sort of that drawer that opened by itself.
Actually, the majority, and that's a very good question. Again, like I said in blog that came out, I did that just about 2 weeks ago. The majority of my class, because all of them I classify as an unknown, 3 classifications: unknown, debunk, and affirm. I was able to affirm 0. I was able to debunk 4 out of the 11, and of the 11, the rest, maybe except for 1, because I probably should change that to maybe 10 instead of, or anyway, the majority of my blogs I categorize under the unknown category. Again, I'm using the UFO as an analogy.
There you
just because you
go.
say UFO. Oh yeah. So, well, that situation you're talking about, Wolfman, that was one of them. That's unknown. That was not able to, despite the long time that I suspect in the video, because I actually there's more video. It's just I didn't have enough space on my phone to upload everything. But there's that's only like half the video that you see. I suspect that it may have something to do with humidity and whether or not the female end and the male, because every door has a latch. Maybe it has something to do with that, because there are 2 doors on that hutch, but it was only the left one, never the right. So I find that rather odd. Why wouldn't both open?
Yes, it is odd. You know what it is. It was the demons.
No, I don't know what it is. My most recent blog number 8, before number 9, of course, was about. It seems kind of mundane. It seems strange to blog about it, but it's just a quick blog that I did about 2 weeks ago. It's blog number 8, and it's about a bathroom sink, a restroom sink in the men's restroom. My new job that I work at. I don't name it. It's anonymous right now. I used the bathroom, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just taking a pee, and I hear the water turn on. It's one of those sensors. You put your hand underneath, and because it's sensor triggered with your hand, the water just comes on. There's no one else in the restroom, and the damn water turns on. There are 4 sinks. This is about 2 weeks ago. There were 4 sinks in the men's restroom. This is after lunch break. I go for a break at work, and I came back, and or something like that. And there are 4 sinks. The one on the extreme left turns on, and there's no one using it. But the other sinks don't turn on, just that one. So I made a notation of it, and I made a notation of it. It's blog.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's one of what you asked me before, Wolfman. It's one of those unknowns. I can't explain why that happened.
I love the unknowns. I live for the unknowns.
Something like that happened to me at my work with my bell cart when I was waiting for the elevator.
By the way, if anyone wants to call in, man. We've got a little bit, another, let's see, 20 minutes or so, a little more than 20 minutes that you can call in and ask questions to this esteemed, very intelligent gentleman.
Here we go.
Wait a minute, Darren. Did you want to finish your story?
Who, Darren or me?
Yeah, Darren.
I'd love to.
Okay, yeah, your elevator story.
I think I've told you this before. This is just like a month and a half or 2 months ago. So I parked the bell cart, and I'm standing there, and we got like 2 sets of elevators. There's one on the left, and there's like a service elevator on the right. And I go over and push the elevator on the one on the right, and then I was like looking down at my phone, looking at Discord or something, and all of a sudden the bell cart comes bumping up against me. It's like rolled across the room. I had no way to explain it.
And where did this happen again, Darren?
I work at a really old hotel. In fact, we have lots of ghost stories from it. I have one guy, I have his card still, who was in his 50s. He didn't believe in anything. And he was staying with his wife, and the covers were ripped off, and he was pushed off the bed. And
whoa!
We should call him. He never believed in a damn thing. His wife was, and he said it changed his life. He said, and they would stay in that room, and he'd come back, and 2 different times he had experiences in that room.
Wow.
Well, that. I mean, that's never happened to me, and it's interesting that happens when no one else is to affirm or deny. It's not video recorded. We're just tell us. That's why, to me, it's very important, especially in this day of age. I know we're not going to record everything. By the way, Wolfman and everyone else, I retweeted that with the state capitol. You'll see it, and I hashtag 47.
Okay.
47 talk. Hashtag 47 talk.
Yeah, I see it there.
You should see 2 pictures.
Yeah.
There's one with the state capitol to the right, a tall building, and then a shorter building to the left.
In hashtag 47 talk on Twitter. Yeah, I see it right there. Yep.
You got it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's blog number 6. But to see the capitol is blog but just go ahead and link to that blog number 6. It says interviews with an arrow.
Yeah.
And scroll down, then you'll see blog number 5. That's the state capital. That's the one that's most popular. And then link from that link.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Nebraska state capital there.
Cool stuff.
Can you travel to old cemeteries?
We have like there's one. It's called Wyuka, and it's a fairly large. It's kind of weird because our major street, it's called O Street. It's one of or the longest street in the United States, supposedly. That's what I heard. It's called O Street. But anyway, it's right in the middle of Lincoln, and there's a cemetery called Wyuka. On the north side is the big. Well, there's another cemetery on the south side. I guess there's 2 of them. But anyway, I've been to a cemetery, and for obvious reasons, and I don't have any fear. I haven't experienced anything. I've been to a graveyard for my wife's parents, I partaken of I was a pallbearer for one of my wife's cousins a couple of years ago in Kansas City. Didn't experience anything. I
got to tell you, in all my time of dealing with this stuff, I've never found anything when I go looking for it. It comes to you, and it's a once in a life. It's usually a once in a lifetime thing.
But it's still, even when I'm not, I get what they're it's not just me, it's other people.
Yeah.
When I was brushing up on Lorraine Warren, there's a guy, the skeptic, this article, his name is, I can't remember his last name, but anyway, I tweeted him one of my blogs, and he's like me. He was an investigator. Before that, he was a private investigator, and I guess he turned to
paranormal.
I'll look for it later. Yeah, to paranormal. I want to retweet it, but anyway, and he was like, I haven't. And he's more direct than I am. I'm at least being diplomatic in the way I say it, and also trying to be open-minded. This guy is just like, I'm calling bullshit. This is basically, he didn't quite say it like that, but I mean, there are people who are just, I don't know if I call them debunker, but I'm not a debunker. I was open-minded about it. I'm transparent. I'm video recording, no editing, so everybody can look. I'm talking with, I video record and people I interview. I let them talk, and I don't do leading questions. And I forgot to say this part, everybody. I never do leading questions, and I make sure to say that while I'm recording them. And it's like, I do my research before I go into the field, and plus I talk to other people, and I know what the alleged ghost story is. But when I interview the people that I interview, it's like, hey, can you tell me what you know about this? What the legend is, but I'm not going to say. It's kind of like playing poker. I keep my cards to my chest because that's how you know what's real and what's not. And I hear different stories.
That's what I do.
Sometimes it's confirmed. Sometimes it's like, okay, that's not what I read. So yeah, I'm being transparent as much as I can, everybody. And trust me, I would be the first to tell you if I saw a good, believe you me, I would find a way of getting on CNN and sharing it with everybody. But there's a reason why I'm not doing that, because I'm not finding anything.
You'd just be called crazy anyways.
I wouldn't care. I don't care. Some people think what I'm doing, some people think even as an atheist and a skeptic, the fact that I'm even taking the time, and I'm spending hours, everybody, for each blog. I spend hours researching. Maybe a couple of them, they're shorter. But for the most part, on average, doing this. I don't believe in debunking. Skeptic. To me, I'm no better than someone who's just a believer. And then you're tainted because you believe what you want to believe anyway. So point in trying to pretend that you're open. Well, it's the same thing with skeptics. If I'm going to debunk, then I've just tainted being an investigator. That's why you guys can look with me on my.
I have a question.
What's that?
Well, when I was younger, they didn't have remotes for TVs. The child was the remote. We had a TV that would go off late at night and sometimes turn on during the day if it were off. And my mother had the repairman come out and look at this TV all the time. So we thought it was just that TV. And so they eventually replaced it. And that TV, which did have a remote, it went off and on. Do you have an answer for such a situation as that? Or have you run across a situation like that? I guess I should ask that first.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course there's an answer for that. We don't know. Saying I don't know is one of the ever give, and one of the most true things you can ever give. If we pretend that there's always a packaged answer to everything because it makes us feel secure, I personally can't live like that, because again, it's equivalent to UFOs. Just because you see something and you don't know what it is, it doesn't necessarily, and maybe it is an alien spaceship. Maybe, but most times, what is it we find out? It's some kind of balloon, or now, especially these days with drones, a UFO could be a drone. So, and saying I don't know is saying UFOs. There's something I see flying out there.
Yeah.
But is it an alien, or is it just something that's terrestrial?
Okay.
That's human in nature.
I don't know if you're familiar with my story with when I was chased down the tobacco field. I had a witness with me. It looked like a fireball. It was moving intelligently and shooting down these rays, like electric, this beam of, I don't know what you'd call it. Looked like it was scanning. It was not anything from here, man. I don't know if it was alien, but it was definitely not anything that we made. It was alien to me. I was about 35 years old, irrigating my tobacco field.
I don't know. And of course you didn't record it. Not that I'm blaming or anything. I'm just saying I don't know. I do trust you, Michael.
My brother was scared enough of this. Like, we were both terrified, and we thought it was coming after us. Anyways, we're coming to the top of the hour again.
Oh, sorry.
But we still have.
Go ahead, Wolfman. You got a show to run. So
you know what?
Thank you very much.
We're just gonna. We got 10 minutes more. I'm not.
It says 1:59 according to my clock.
Okay, we started late, so I actually since we started late, there's still 10 minutes more if you want it.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, were you about to go to commercial or? Because I interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. But I'm probably just gonna cut the commercial off so we can finish talking this time.
Okay, what I was going to say, and I feel this is what I should say, and I forget to do this part too when I talk with people, and frankly, I blog to do my investigations. Okay, I talked about what I did not see, what I was able to debunk in my investigations. What criteria would Joseph Moore need to see to affirm a paranormal event? Personally speaking, first and foremost, for me, I would want to record it video so there's no questions asked, and it's not just me, just take my word for it. I'm tired of it. Like this friend, and I blogged in blog number 9, my most recent one, blog with this saying. There's this coworker I had a couple of years ago, right before I started investigating. I was telling her my intent, 2017, this is 2 years ago. I was telling her my intent of before I started even investigating, because I was trying to round up a crew back then, and no one wanted to help join me, so that's why I'm doing it by myself. And I told her my intent, and she wasn't interested in joining me. But I told her what's important for my investigations 2 years ago now. It's like I want to get actual objects, kind of like Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren, where they have their museum. They take actual objects and then they keep it. Whatever situation happens, if there's something I can take with object with me. Secondly, I want to record, because what good is it to talk about these things if we don't have some kind of tangible I don't want to use the word proof, but something tangible from the event. And this young lady, I don't want to say her name, but I love the way she put it. She's like, well, yeah, of course, because otherwise we're just telling ghost stories. And that's all we've been doing as human beings, without, the technology like we have today to be able to record and to prove or disprove things. It's understandable our ancestors didn't have the technology. So, yes, even when they painted something like in the Renaissance paintings, like there's a lot of brouhaha about that. I was like, oh, in the air, and one of Michelangelo's paintings, they did have air balloons back then. So it wasn't very. The notion of air balloons was around since Da Vinci. So it is, and a lot of people who experts, like alien, like the History Channel's Ancient Aliens, even they did some specials where they talked about how the idea of flight is a possibility. Even thousands of years ago, our ancestors lost the knowledge of how to fly anymore. So that's not such a stretch. But for me, I would need some kind of proof, because otherwise we're just telling ghost stories. And people get, and I'm not saying everybody here who's on a Discord right now with us, Wolfman, or even listening. My experience, and I've had, you can imagine, I tend to offend a lot of people, and I don't mean the way I talk, just because they want me to just believe them just because they told me. I'm not going to do that.
All right,
I'm
but
not going to do that.
I gotta say, in defense of people that are experiencers, basically, I don't tell too many stories where there's not multiple witnesses. The one experience I had while we were hoeing tobacco, I had 11 witnesses. By this little cemetery.
Okay.
And these people looked as real as you and me, and we thought they were real, and they disappeared in front of our eyes, basically.
Oh, I do believe you, actually, Wolfman.
And there's 11 witnesses that saw this one.
Do you have access to these people? Are you able to talk, maybe bring them on your show?
That's a hard one to do. Like years ago, I could probably try. Yeah, my brother.
That would be interesting. I would be interested in hearing that. I really would.
I'm not sure if my ex-wife. My ex-wife was one of the witnesses. I might be able to get her. I have to think about it. Who I had hired. Some of the people may still be living around this area. It's possible.
That would be interesting. I mean, because all they have to do is call in. Call in. I get. Well, maybe Discord if they have access to it. But I would seriously love to hear that, Wolfman. I really would.
My brother-in-law,
Darren, did I hear you say you like to hear my brothers?
No, his brother that was in the field with him.
Yeah, he won't call in about that. I asked him. It's too bad because he could back up my story. He was there and he was scared and he took off. But he did chat it into a chat room once when we were on the air about the story.
So Seth, you got to try to go to ESETI if you get a chance.
Go to where again?
ESETI.
I'm going to try to get those witnesses for you. For next time you're on, I'm going to try to get those witnesses for you.
You know what? I think that'd make a good show.
Yeah, man.
That'd make a good follow. And Darren, did you say SETI as in the search for
ESETI? It's a ranch up south of Mount Adams. I went up there and I saw a bunch of UFOs. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's an area where there's a hot spot of activity of all sorts of things there. If you want to see,
where was this, Darren?
ESETI Ranch,
south of Mount Adams.
What state is that in?
Oh, Washington. It's on the Oregon-Washington border.
And it's called. Can you please spell it?
EC.
Okay.
ETI.
Okay, UFO, Oregon and Washington. Is that fair to? I mean, for a search.
Just ESETI Ranch. Yeah.
Ranch. Okay, ranch. Okay, I'll do some research.
Yeah, we should go up there. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm a working man. I don't have a lot of money. When I am able to travel, it's maybe once a year. So if I were to do, maybe I will someday. I don't know. But at least I can do some research on it. Okay, Oregon and Washington. Oregon and Washington.
It's in Washington.
It's in Washington.
There's videos that I found online that'll show you what I saw. I had my phone out to video it, but I was just so dumbfounded. I didn't record it.
You can understand why. You see what I'm saying, Darren? Yeah, I mean, there's so much activity there, but yet you can understand where I'm coming from. I mean, it's easy for me to point out there are airplanes flying in the air. I can point to you anytime, birds flying. You can catch that anytime. But it just always seems like when it comes to the paranormal, there's always some kind of reason we don't record it. Every time.
It could be something from the military base that they're flying into space, but it was way out there and it was bright.
Okay, so was this recent? You might find. Did this happen recently? Is what I should.
Yeah, it happened last September. I was with Eric.
Oh, okay. So, and you had. I'm guessing you didn't think to whip out your phone. And when I'm at work, when I worked at a fast food restaurant, or airplanes fly overhead downtown, and I whipped out my smartphone and I recorded it. And those were just helicopters.
Yeah, I had my phone. I recorded the crowd's reaction, the oohing and ahhing and stuff, but I didn't get any of the good video. But
so you got the crowd, but not the object itself.
Yeah, but there's videos that's exactly what I saw that are online.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, I believe you. I believe that you saw something. I just wish.
I don't know what it is.
Right.
I think it's probably military, but I don't know. All I know is I've spent hundreds of hours looking at the sky at fire lookouts. I've never seen shit, and I saw what I saw when we were expecting to see something. It was very odd.
Well, I wrote it down, Darren. Is Wolfman still here?
Oh, yeah. I'm still here.
Oh.
We're losing you again.
But I couldn't hear you for a second there.
Oh.
Yeah. You dropped off for a sec.
Yeah, it's definitely your internet connection. I think.
I think I was a little too close to the laptop.
I don't think unless
Darren was talking.
I was
writing. I think I was too close to the laptop.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
we got 1 minute left. Thanks everybody for helping out and coming here and listening. And thanks everybody who joined in the conversation. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, JP. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Joseph. Is that everyone?
Thank you.
And
it was a good time, everybody.
We're gonna hang out here for a while if you want to go to mcpradio.caster.fm. We're gonna keep streaming. That's my alternate. That's my 24/7 stream. We might hang around for a while if you want.
Post it in the Discord.
Or come in our Discord.
I'll see you guys later online. Thank you for everything.
All right, thank you, and everybody, go to Monster Castle Paranormal Facebook and sign up, and listen to us on mcpradio.caster.fm. If you go there to listen, please vote for us with the little thumbs up button, and that will give me extra features, like a dance floor, and